So I am pleased to be here today. I'm actually presenting for the first time as part of USEA's State of Energy Industry Forum. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And as stated, I am the president and CEO of INGAA, but I also want to note that I'm also the president of the INGAA Foundation, which has more than 220 members representing natural gas pipeline companies, construction companies, engineering firms, piping compressor manufacturers, and other suppliers of goods and services to the industry. The foundation funds reports and studies and sponsors forums on technical and economic issues that are of interest to the industry. And I note all of this because I'll be quoting one of their reports a little later on. So given the broad theme for today's forum, I'd like to touch on three key topics important to the industry. And I know these are important to the industry because actually they're topics that have also been touched on by some of the prior speakers. First, how INGAA members performed during the pandemic. Second, the expectation that oil and gas markets and the need for infrastructure development will rebound post-pandemic. And third, the role of natural gas infrastructure in achieving national and global climate goals. Yes, 2020 changed our world. The pandemic created unforeseen challenges impacting individuals, businesses, supply chains, and the global economy. Yet, as many businesses across the United States closed their doors, natural gas pipeline employees kept working. These men and women are recognized by the federal government as critical infrastructure. And as you all probably know, CISA listed pipelines as one of the 16 critical infrastructure sectors. Across the country, pipeline operators worked quickly to implement COVID-19 response and recovery plans that incorporated the guidance of CDC, OSHA, and local and state agencies. Our industry developed through the INGAA Foundation a publicly available guidance document that synthesizes practices the pipeline industry is using to prevent and control the spread of COVID-19 during construction and maintenance work. The Foundation has updated this document 4 times to reflect evolving CDC guidance. With our industry workforce performing its essential work, doctors and hospitals were able to treat their patients. Manufacturers were able to produce more medical equipment and PPE, and millions of others were able to maintain their productivity by converting their homes into offices, as natural gas, which accounts for about 1/3 of electricity generation, continued to be a safe, reliable, and affordable energy source. As an industry, we were quickly able to respond to the challenges of COVID-19 because the natural gas community works tirelessly to prepare contingency plans for crises. That planning prepared us well for the challenges created by COVID-19. Through established continuity plans, coordination along the natural gas value chain, and collaboration with government agencies, the industry is prepared for a range of emergency scenarios. Health and safety procedures are a way of life for our industry. While the future has been uncertain, we were certainly prepared. Now, an area of industry uncertainty has also been the energy markets, which were significantly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic as demand for natural gas, crude oil, and electricity declined, and prices in all 3 markets dropped. Considering these unprecedented changes, the INGAA Foundation requested a study by ICF to evaluate how the paths for markets and infrastructure development will be impacted by the United States through 2025. The North American Midstream Infrastructure, a near-term update through 2025 report was completed in December and released at the beginning of this month. It found that as the impacts of COVID-19 diminish over time, the drivers of new infrastructure do return. Even though domestic natural gas use was down in 2020, it is expected to rebound and increase through 2025 as the market recovers from the pandemic. While the upward trajectory of natural gas use has been dampened by recent events, the findings show it is expected to grow and exceed the 2019 level by 2024. Finding indicates that in aggregate, total gas consumption will rise to 88 billion BCF per day by 2025, or 3.6% above the 2019 levels. According to the report, the rebound in natural gas use will be most significant in industrial and commercial activities, which were most hurt by the COVID-motivated business closures. However, rebound is expected across all sectors. Power sector gas use will continue to grow, albeit at a slightly slower pace than would have otherwise occurred without the COVID pandemic. The vast amount of pipeline infrastructure that supports natural gas-fueled power generation is critically important to maintaining the reliability and cost-effectiveness of electricity in the United States. Gas infrastructure will continue to support power system reliability, especially as renewable power generation expands. During the period of recovery from the pandemic, infrastructure will need to address market growth from increased demand, including from LNG exports, which have rebounded and will continue to grow significantly through 2025. Many of the new pipeline projects that have yet to be completed focus on transporting gas to export facilities. The level of expected pipeline development from 2020 through 2025 is lower than pre-COVID projections. However, significant additional natural gas capacity is still expected to be placed into service. The outlook expects 33 billion BCF per day to be completed between 2020 and 2025. The new infrastructure development needed to support additional natural gas capacity is an opportunity to align with President Biden's efforts to build a modern infrastructure and a cleaner energy future. Natural gas has proved instrumental in helping our nation and world address climate change by allowing the country to make rapid reductions in CO2 emissions. According to the EIA, between 2005 and 2019, CO2 emissions from the U.S. power sector declined by 33%, with natural gas accounting for more than half of those reductions. INGAA's members are determined to lead the effort to modernize our nation's interstate natural gas delivery network, with a goal of reducing emissions and helping minimize the impact on our climate. We've been working for years to reduce our methane emissions. This week, we took a step further and we released a series of commitments we are making to building a cleaner energy future. Part of our commitments, which have been under development for months, is for our members to work together as an industry towards reaching net zero GHG emissions from natural gas transmission and storage operations by 2050. We know that to achieve this goal will require the aid of new innovative technologies and a constructive energy policy framework. Clearly, a new administration signals a changed world for our industry. However, the fact that natural gas and its infrastructure must be part of any serious plan to address global climate change is not new. As the U.S. continues to move towards greater adoption of renewable forms of electricity, there is an increased need for natural gas and related infrastructure to enable flexible, fast-ramping power generation and energy storage to ensure reliability. Our members are committed to providing the services necessary to help minimize the risk of power disruptions. As part of President Biden's Build Back Better plan, he has pledged investment in energy and climate research and innovation. INGAA members also believe that investing in and adopting innovative technologies will be instrumental to achieving climate goals. We are committed to the further research and development of promising new technologies, many that have already been discussed today, such as RNG sources, renewable hydrogen, CCUS, all things that can help even further reduce emissions. And we're positioned to be part of the clean energy future, and we're committed to active and constructive engagement with policymakers and a wide variety of stakeholders to work together to develop and implement sustainable, practical solutions that benefit our shared goals of safe, reliable, affordable energy. With that, I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Amy, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, your discussion, and welcome to the Energy Industry Forum. We hope to see you often in the future. Couple of questions, I think. as natural gas production increases, as the economy comes back to normal, what is the industry doing, particularly in areas where production is really increasing quickly, to alleviate the pipeline congestion that we see and to build new pipelines to enable particularly LNG exports and reduce flaring of associated gas in production fields?
So, I mean, this is all part of our argument that there is going to be the continued need for natural gas infrastructure. I mean, that's one of the arguments for folks who want to see a reduction in flaring. A lot of times, as you know, that happens because there isn't the infrastructure to move associated gas away from those areas. So we would definitely argue that we're going to continue to need more gas infrastructure moving forward.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit more about the synergy that you have between the INGAA Foundation and INGAA itself?
Absolutely. So they are two separate entities. I defined the membership of the INGAA Foundation. For those who maybe aren't aware, INGAA members, we're a much smaller membership. We have 25 member companies which represent interstate natural gas pipelines. They are separate entities, but the work of the foundation really supports the industry, both through research and reports like what I indicated and talked about today. And then the foundation also puts forward a number of, at this point, they're all webinars, but you could say technical conferences and gatherings on behalf of the industry to help educate our members.
Thank you. Another question. Last week, you put out a bold statement to reduce emissions by 2050. What is it going to take to get there? How do you see the technology and investment pathway to getting to your goals?
Absolutely. Well, I will say we only put it out on Tuesday. I know it feels like it's been about a week since Tuesday, but it was only 2 days ago. And we are aware, as some of the other speakers have mentioned, that we don't yet know all of the technology, all of the innovation that's going to take place that's really going to allow our industry to be able to meet those net zero goals. And so therefore, the way our statement has been designed is really to allow flexibility for each member company to come along sort of where they are on their individual journeys as operating companies, and allow them to find the best way to reduce emissions from their operations. But what we've committed is, as an industry, we're going to work together. We're going to share best practices and work towards more of that technological and innovative development.
Great. Well, Amy, thanks again for joining us. We welcome you to the Energy Forum, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.